Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. We're taking your calls. We're here with former Foreign Minister Rufus Bousquet. Of course, we have had a great discussion so far. And going back to some of the questions that were raised, manufacturing has disappeared pretty much on the island. I mean, agriculture is close to disappearing.
It's got its problems.
Yeah, a lot. And food security, as you said, is a major issue. All countries, all industrialized countries are now trying to feed their people.
It's even worse than that, I mean, you find that the Saudis, the Arabs, a lot of Arab countries, they're buying hundreds of thousands of acres of land in Africa. They're buying it and securing it
to
for
feed
themselves,
their people.
feed their people.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how advanced thinking is, and since they have the surplus capital from oil now, they're investing it in that particular area.
And they can get it for relatively cheap.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And so they're taking advantage of these situations. So we need to be a little bit more careful about how we go about it. I mean, I'll be politically correct and say that I would assume that the minister has the situation well in hand. I don't know what the situation is. But one comment I will make about agricultural policy. Very often, for some reason or another, agriculture ministers, and I don't know if that's the case with the current one, let me say that up front, but many agriculture ministers end up being banana farmers. And how can you possibly have an objective view of the banana industry if you're a farmer? I mean,
I don't
interest in
I don't think that the current minister is a farmer. So
like I said, I haven't. That doesn't apply to him because I don't know anything about what he does. But that has been the case very often in the past, and that can't be right. So we need to check on these things.
We need to take
an
internal look. We have this call on the line. We missed that call. Hopefully that caller will call again. But tourism. I mean, tourism. We have tourism on a pedestal. We'll take this call first, and then we'll get to tourism. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good night.
All right. Good evening.
And good night to your guest.
Yes. Good evening to you.
Let me tell you, Mr. Bousquet, I'm not really a supporter of the United Workers' Party.
Right.
But I respect you. I respect you as a true politician.
No, I'm not. If I was a true politician, no, I'm not. If I was, I'd come here and tell you what you want to hear.
No, but listen to me. Why I tell you a true politician? You're not this kind of people that support your party and you base on your party, which is UWP. You give facts. And let me give you an example.
Okay.
When you said you are not going back to court after you all lost the election and they wanted to bring it up to go to court, I respect that.
Right.
Another thing I respect is when the civil servants are saying, okay, they want a back pay of 16% and whatever. You told them how the country is going. So the reason why I say that is because you're not like some people would say, oh, well, the government could able to do that. You gave them facts to show them that if the government, the way the situation is going on, that if it happens that way, even though you all were in power and it have to happen, it would affect both. It would affect you all also.
Yes.
So that show me that you're not a hacks or a party thing like a.
So he's not a typical politician.
Exactly.
Right. That's the word we were looking for. Not a typical. Well, look. Thank you very much for that.
And thank you for your call.
One of the things that I'll say is, you see, one caller called earlier and tried to pigeonhole me, as the old politicians. When you're out of office, you'll have all kinds of solutions and so on and so forth. The reality of it all is, I didn't go to court because I don't have to do this. If people decide they want somebody else, well, so be it. As far as I'm concerned, I did enough in the community to have won by 1,000 votes. So I don't need to be going to court and haggle over 20, 50 or whatever it is votes. That's not something that I need to do. As far as I'm concerned, elections are won at the ballot box. This is the way we're going to go with it. And the only reason I come and do these things is because I want to give people a fresh perspective. I want to give them something else. And that goes to the heart of the matter of not being a typical politician, and in terms of dealing with things differently. And if you're not a typical politician, then you're not going to have typical solutions, and you're not going to approach things in a typical manner. And that's basically what it is. There must be some situation where you're here to put country first. And too often we put party first. And that can't be the right way to go.
Now, since you're not a typical politician, I want you to speak on your atypical approach to tourism. But let's take this call before we go into that. Good evening, you're our final caller. Please go ahead. Oh, and it's a female. Thank you for calling.
And how are you?
Very good. You?
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Mr. Bousquet.
Hello.
And how are you?
I'm holding up.
Well, like, I appreciate you very much. As you are a man.
Well, thank you.
You're not a party hat.
Okay.
Ou ka mette kouye se kouye ya. Et puis c'est qu'on s'aille ni pouye bien. Un chay di nou ka kwe parti c'est ka san nou, mais parti pas san nous tout en bas même flag là. Nous tout ka propre même manière. Puis moi content yo ye là. No matter say ye moi ka support 100%. Before God guide.
Okay, merci.
Merci
Thanks a lot, caller, for your call, your contribution here. Let's touch a little bit on tourism before we go. If you were in charge of tourism, what would you have done differently? Because we discussed that during the break. Tourism, we have hailed tourism as our savior.
Right.
You know, our economic savior.
Yes.
But we do not stop to think of everything that tourism is taken away from us. We spoke about it earlier in the show, where we are being trained as waiters and servants pretty much in our country, and the bulk of that tourism dollar is being repatriated to foreign countries.
Well, tourism is very important, and one of the things you should do on this show is to bring an unbridled supporter of tourism in its current form, like Alan Shastney.
He has been
and
here.
then bring me on the program as well. And then let's talk about tourism.
Yes.
And then we can see the points, because we don't have a lot of time. And what I will say is going to take a little bit of time. You know, that's almost, it is so important that it's a subject by itself.
Right.
And there are many good things to be derived from tourism. Make no mistake about that. Every country in the world is trying to have more tourism and bring more people to their shores. And I will say as an endorsement that if I were to have a tourism minister in St. Lucia, I would have Alan Shastney. but I would stay over him. I would stay over him. That's the only difference. You know?
I think we'll have to bring him back on the program. We'll have to have you there.
Sorry,
so we'll have you over him while we discuss tourism.
No. But you know, I mean, you spoke about things like Liat and so on and so forth.
Right.
And there's even talk about a ferry and so on. And so on. You know, if the ferry is going to be like Liat and be a regional thing, you got trouble. Trust me. So all these things, you need to talk about them, but, you know, and people need to hear about these things. And I like the opportunity to have some of these things bounced off of me. I'm not a repository of all information, you know, but at the end of the day, I have a perspective on most things. And you know, I really enjoy the opportunity to at least discuss it with your audience.
Now, in 30 seconds, I want you to talk about the inquest. I raised that before, so I'd like you to discuss that in 30 seconds. Yeah. What do you think of the inquest into the police slayings in 2010?
Well, I can't speak about the inquest, but all I can say is that inquests are important if there is a doubt as to what the police action is. And these people have a job to do. Hopefully they're competent. I don't even know who is on that board, but hopefully they'll do it competently and properly, and that they will deal with the matter in a manner that will, you know, allow justice to be served. Yeah?
Former Foreign Minister Rufus Bousquet, of course, it's, I mean, as always, a pleasure to have you on the show, and speaking to you is so refreshing. Yeah. You know, I mean, sometimes we may not agree on all the issues, but yeah, it's always nice to have you to bring that candor to the program.
Thank you so much.
Well, tomorrow on The Law Factor Live, have you ever wondered why some people eat more than you do and they don't put on weight, but you do? From a thorough look inside the secrets of your cells to how the outside will affect your health, DFL examines these issues and provides solutions that will lead to a fitter, happier you. Featuring footage and photographs of blood and body analysis and a visual look at healthy and unhealthy organs. You don't want someone else to tell you what you would have missed. The guests, Dr. Tanya Destang-Bobra and Roger Constantine from Fitness for Life. You can also email dfl@dbsstlucia.com to be a part of that show starting for the new year tomorrow evening. So join Julia and a guest tomorrow for another DFL Live. On behalf of my team here at Newsmaker Live and the entire DBS staff, I want to thank you for being part of the show and reminding you to join us this weekend, Saturday night, for another press club before we get back to you next Wednesday for another Newsmaker Live. Until then, I'm Clinton Reynolds. Do have a wonderful evening.